Welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm Ben Data, co-chair of DSW. This year marks the 10-year anniversary of Denver Startup Week. This community has been the catalyst for lots of change over the past decade, and this week we're coming together to celebrate the past and dream big for the future. We are able to bring Denver Startup Week to this community thanks to our 2021 sponsors. Thank you to our HQ and title sponsor, Amazon, and our title sponsors, whose leadership makes this week come to life. Capital One Cafe. Welcome to Denver Startup Week. Downtown Denver. I'm Ben Data, co-chair of DSW. Hotel Engine. This year marks the 10-year anniversary of Denver Startup Week. And our track sponsors. This community has been made all the great content you're hearing today possible. And this week we're coming together to celebrate the past, growth track, and dream big for the health plans. Developer Track. We are able to bring Denver Startup Week to this community thanks to our 2021 sponsors. Battery 621. Thank you to our HQ and title sponsor. People Track. Amazon. Exactly. And our title sponsor. And Spotlight Events leadership makes this week come to life. Our headline event sponsor. Welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm Ben Data. Thank you to DSW. Hotel Colorado Public Radio. This year marks the 10-year anniversary of Denver Startup Week. And our track sponsor. This community has been made all the great content of the University of Denver. And this week we're coming together to celebrate the past, growth track, and dream big for the health plans. Moss Adams. Developer Track. We are able to bring Denver Startup Week to this community thanks to our 2021 sponsor. Battery 621. Thank you to our HQ and title sponsor. People Track. Amazon. Exactly. And our title sponsor. And Spotlight Events leadership makes us partner and member sponsors. Our headline event sponsor. Welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm Ben Data. Thank you to Denver Startup. Colorado Public Radio. This year marks Denver Startup Week. And our track sponsor. This community has been made all the great content of the Have a great week. And this week,
early risers, all-nighters, slow pours, fast crams, post-nap, on the mat, in the stacks, phone down, volume up, complete silence. U-ups, coffee cups, pizza crusts, first semester, fourth quarter, focus 100, privacy 0, pre-test, one last check, let's go. However you study, Quizlet takes the guesswork out of your coursework. Learn it, own it, Quizlet. Early risers, all-nighters, slow pours, fast crams, post-nap, on the mat, in the stacks, phone down, volume up, complete silence. U-ups, coffee cups, pizza crusts, first semester, fourth quarter, focus 100, privacy 0, pre-test, one last check, let's go. However you study, Quizlet takes the guesswork out of your coursework. Learn it, own it, Quizlet. Early risers, all-nighters, slow pours, fast crams, post-nap, on the mat, in the stacks, phone down, volume up, complete silence. U-ups, coffee cups, pizza.
Wait, is it echoing now or was it just the video? All right, am I good to proceed then now, or do we need to try the video again? All right, well, I think in that note, let's go ahead and just get started. Sorry about that. Not sure what happened. Had a couple of technical challenges getting this going, but we're going to make it. So make sure, okay, let's see the screen. So let's go and get started. So welcome to Send Legacy Code Over the Rainbow Bridge Without Going in Circles. My name is Skyler Meyer. This guy next to me is Tahiri. We'll introduce ourselves a little more later. So kind of like to kick it off with a quote here. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. This is commonly referenced to Albert Einstein. It's in fact an author named Rita Mae Brown who this quote originated from. But that's kind of the theme of what you'll see for today's presentation. So what does this talk about? It's a cautionary tale. So really, we're going to tell a story about some of the work that we've been doing here at Talent Reef, some of the challenges we've been facing, and hope you can learn some lessons from that. So kind of mine that for experience and exposure and see what you get out of it. So Medina and I have both been with the company for a long time. We've seen a lot of interpretations of this process that we went through, and we want to talk about kind of how we know we needed to change, how we went about making that change, what decisions we made in the past and the present that got us to this stage, and the things you should watch out for when you're building your own companies or your own software or, generally anything you're building on your own. So one caveat here, this is not the only way. There are a lot of ways to rewrite legacy applications. We're nothing special here. We definitely didn't do this 100% right. And I'm sure we're probably going to find that we regret something we did by the time we're done with this. So don't hate us too much by the end. So a little bit about myself. My name is Skyler Meyer. I'm a software engineering manager here at Talent Reef. I've been with the company for 6 years. 5 years of that, I was a back-end engineer working on a bunch of our services. And then in the last year, moved into the management role within the company. And with that, I was involved in the project inception and then was also working with the actual team that delivered the work that we're going to talk about today in the direct management role with them.
And I'm Tahiri. I'm Director of Product here at Talent Reef. I've been with Talent Reef for 6.5 years. Played different roles here, started as a software engineer, tech lead, engineering manager, until I moved to product about 1.5 years ago and like it ever since.
So who is Talent Reef? We were founded in 2008. We're currently based in Denver, originally from Michigan and some other parts, but currently based in Denver. We are an ATS, which is an applicant tracking system. So it's a software platform that's focused on the distributed hourly hiring space. So think of your Taco Bells, where they have a big HR office that kind of sets corporate policy, and then lots of stores and franchises that actually do the hiring with managers that are managing that process. So to facilitate all of that, we create career sites and also partner with job boards so that we can publish our jobs out and bring applicants in. Once those applicants come, we have a software that allows them to apply for those jobs. Then we allow the managers to evaluate, interview, and hire those employees. And then once those employees are hired, we help them to manage their careers by doing assessments, goal setting, and then also managing any of the compliance that these companies need, such as I-9 documents and kind of all those legal docs. So the project we're going to be talking about today is called Apply. It's a product of ours. It's a legacy application, and it's that piece where all of the applicants come to apply for jobs. So think of every job application you've ever done, first name, last name, references, all that stuff, that's Apply. From a system perspective, it's built on a Cold Fusion monolith tied directly to SQL Server. So big, gigantic Cold Fusion servers, big, gigantic SQL Server, nothing in the middle, just direct application code. It has a rigid application process, so you can't customize its length, you can't customize its order. If you don't want to ask education questions, that's too bad because you have to. And it has a very confusing user data model. So the way the user model is implemented, won't go into too much detail there, but the big one, it leads to a lot of duplicate accounts and a lot of duplicate work where applicants can't find where they're supposed to go. So our data shows that on average, this takes about 20 minutes for an applicant to get through all of the questions and get registered for an account. And at worst, the absolute worst workflow we had could potentially have an applicant clicking apply 5 different times before they actually start the application as they move through the different career pages and showing them job descriptions, and just very not good. Oh, there it goes. So this is what Apply looks like, at least from the legacy perspective. So you can see here it's okay, we've done a reskin to kind of modernize it a little bit, but again, there's no flexibility. There's not a lot of good kind of data and tracking to show you where you're at in the process, how far you are, what's left, and just a lot of other kind of general UI issues. So now we move on to trying to fix this. So have we tried to fix this before? You bet we have. So a few of the ones that I like to highlight are the flip. This was what we just talked about. So a quick, cheap coat of paint. We rebuilt the front end to Backbone. We made it more responsive. We brought text translation, but overall it was the exact same backend. We didn't change anything. Then we moved on to my favorite, the Oprah model. And this was where we let our clients tell us what different kinds of apply they wanted. And because we didn't have a way to shorten it, we just built them custom ones. So this is not a joke. We did actually have shortened, short, extreme, quick, and legacy apply all working at the same time, all built on completely different systems, all built in different repositories, but all somehow eventually getting to the same backend. And then we got a little smarter and we went to the integrations model. So this is where we wanted to accept applications from third-party job boards, really the Indeeds of the world. We wanted to put our jobs out there, have applicants come in via API. And originally we built this for Indeed specifically, but once we kind of saw a couple more people wanting it, we started to make the smart decision to actually build a reusable API that could be used for more than Indeed and used for other providers as well. So that's kind of a history of some of our attempts to do it, but none of them ever really hit the mark. So we could never really get what we wanted to do. We could never get off those platforms. We could never get to a stage where our clients were happy. Then we had a pretty radical idea. What if we actually just built the product we wanted to build? And what if we let our engineers architect a system they wanted to support? And what if we leveraged the pandemic-related slowdown where basically all hiring and lots of people's jobs, unfortunately, stopped to set ourselves up for success when the economy came back and we were able to open back up? So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mandeep, who's going to talk about some of the changes we made as a business in order to design this product and to set ourselves up for success.
Thank you, Skyler. So from a product perspective, we wanted really to take this opportunity of building a new application platform to rethink how we built our software, with a goal of transforming our product to enable a product-led go-to-market strategy with an end-user-focused growth model that relies on the product itself as the primary driver of customer acquisition, conversion, and expansion. So this is basically our old development process. It goes from idea to design to development. So historically at Talent Reef, ideas of product features came mainly from sales. After talking to specific clients that have specific needs, which can result on building, as Skyler mentioned, custom software instead of features that would benefit and bring value to all our customers. As soon as we agree on an idea, we build a team around it and start development. So we move to design, a team of product and engineers start on the project at the same time, flush in requirement and designing the software as they go. Then they move straight to development. Development start as soon as possible in order to show progress to our clients and stakeholders. So was this model successful? Of course not. The outcome was low feature adoption, slow development process, as the product manager or product owner and the developers kind of like figuring out the requirement as they go. There is a lot of going back and refactoring code as the requirement are not as clear, and a suboptimal user experience because we didn't really plan the full experience of the user before tackling it. So this represents our new development process. So we go from an idea in our new model directly to research. So as a product organization, once we have an idea, we want to uncover unexpected areas of exploration. And in order to do that, we just spend more time in discovery, market research, and competitive analysis, with a goal in mind that we do not want to have the same functionality as our competitor and always to check the box, but instead innovate and come up with better features. So we invested in a team of experienced product designers to help us set our research and design practices, which has truly transformed how we build software here. Spending more time researching has been also huge for us, making sure that we are going to build a product that will differentiate us from our competitors. From the research phase, we move to the design. And one of the mistakes we have been making so far is kicking off a project, as I mentioned, without having a design team ahead of development, allowing them to explore and answer some of the questions that will slow down the development down the road. So moving forward, we are not making this mistake anymore, of course. We have a design team in place that is always 2 sprints ahead of development, drawing a clear picture of product definition, business cases, as well as the operational and technical feasibility of the product we are building. Then from design, we move to validation. So after we solve the design challenges and get the first draft of our mockups ready, we start putting them in front of our customers and internal stakeholders to get feedback and make sure our software workflows are easy to use and are not missing the mark. So until now, basically, there is not one line of code that has been written. Now development can start. And from a development perspective, we also made some transformation there. We started embracing test-driven development, also known as TDD, which is the concept of writing your test first, which require you to really consider what do you want from your code, which enforce the requirements set by the business. So test-driven development is helping us improve the quality of our code and ship it to production with high confidence. We also invested in CI/CD to be able to constantly ship software and show value to our customers. From there, we measure. So as soon as we deploy code, we seek feedback to make sure our software satisfies customer needs. We implemented a product research panel of users to help us do so, as well as beta programs with some of our most influential clients to get feedback early and tweak anything if necessary before a GA release. So how did that go? The outcome, totally different. Software that delights the end users, high feature adoptions, intuitive workflows with great user experience. That's what we keep hearing from our customers. And of course, uncovering needs we haven't even thought of before by involving our customers more and talking to them along the way.
Cool. Oh, there you go. So on the engineering side, we knew we needed to build a new platform. So we needed to figure out how we were going to architect this, what it was going to look like, and what the steps were to get there. So that was kind of the next phase of this project. So we knew we wanted to use what we knew. Talent Reef had already been working on Scala-based REST API microservices. We had a practice deployment model. We'd had a practice, behavior of shifting data from our large SQL Server installation into smaller Postgres, Elasticsearch, Cassandra, basically targeted DBs that we wanted to use for our data storage. So we wanted to continue that and really, really go after REST API and stay focused on that. We also wanted to pivot from Scala to Java, really to help us be able to hire the best engineers and to hire upcoming talent and really build the skill set within the team, as well as to make sure that our application would continue to remain persistent and secure as kind of Java started to outpace Scala at the time from a release perspective. We also knew in this new platform, data isolation in domain-focused data stores was the way to go. We didn't want to have this gigantic SQL relational database that if it goes down, it takes the entire application with it. We wanted to be able to say, hey, I want Elasticsearch for this service, I'm going to use Elasticsearch. I want Postgres for this service, I'm going to use it. I want to use, Kafka to store data over here. Great, go for it. Those were some of the rules we wanted to do. Beyond using what we did know, we also wanted to hire what we didn't know. So we wanted to bring in product designers. We'd never had product designers really before in an official capacity. Now we wanted to bring them in and embed them on every team, working hand in hand with the developers every day. We also wanted to bring in a partner local to Denver, a company called Crafted that came in and helped us kind of kick off all this product guidance, bring in some of those kind of survey and user feedback models, as well as bring in engineers that had a lot of React expertise, which is something our team didn't yet have. So we wanted to build that skill level up. As we move forward with this new platform, we also wanted to treat ourselves like our own integration partners. So instead of, we have an API for Indeed and we have an API for us, we wanted an API. And that's the API everybody uses. It follows the same rules. Everyone goes through the same route no matter what. And above all, we wanted to focus on what actually makes our business successful and what our focus is. So instead of trying to build everything, building a password management tool, building a deployment mechanism, building caching, we wanted to start buying and pulling things off the shelf so that we could leverage the technologies that others are already putting out there, and we could focus on what makes our platform best and what provides value to our customers. So how do we get there? We had a couple of different approaches we could have taken. One would have been to build a brand new system. So it'd be architecturally pure, nothing holding off from the old system at all. But this also came with a huge risk if we missed the mark. We'd have to go dark essentially, because we've got to build that full functional vertical. We can't just have applicants show up and then go on to apply, because this is a whole different database. So we'd have to have applicants. We'd have to build a product to hire those applicants. We'd have to build a product to manage those applicants. We'd have to build a product to, do everything that our clients needed in one full vertical before we could release anything to clients. So it was a huge risk. But also we didn't have to deal with a legacy system. And, it could be really good for new customers because they'd get, the nice value, the nice pretty system. None of their data is in the old system. But our existing customers that are currently paying the bills, currently seeing value out of our system, they'd have to wait until potentially the end of this entire road before they got any value at all. So it may not have been the easiest approach, but we decided to go a different way. We decided to integrate with what we have. We knew it was going to be ugly and we knew it was going to be hard, but we knew it would let us to be agile and iterative. So we didn't have to start from square one. We could use the technologies that we already had in place, have a clear roadmap of where we wanted to be in the end, and start focusing on the targeted areas that would provide benefits and innovations for our clients and get us out in the market faster. So we could use that feedback model in order to get information back in and decide where we needed to go next. So this is kind of a diagram of where we were at the time. So the big things to note here are the many different kinds of users, all aimed at different systems that through a bunch of spider webs eventually ends up in SQL Server. But again, each one of these boxes is a separate code base. It's a separate repository. It doesn't share anything but the backend and the database. That's it. So if we wanted to say change the requirements of a phone number or an email, it's not updating one service, it's updating 5 services that we have to change all that logic in. Very unsustainable. So the question is, how do you kill a monolith? Well, we chose to go with strangulation. We wanted to start simple and get bigger. So we wanted to control all of the reads and writes that were coming in and out of the database directly before and start moving them through those common APIs we had. Then if we knew where all the data was coming from, we knew that everything that was writing was going through this API, we could start to push that API to go to a different database or to use a different validation or whatever path we wanted to do. In order to get there, we knew we'd have to build a common authorization solution so that users could move back and forth between old parts of the system and new parts of the system. And this would also allow us to then delete legacy apply applications as we went through. This meant we could get this stuff in our clients' hands ASAP, and then we could develop out in the open. So we could get that feedback from our clients and understand what was working, what wasn't, so we could be agile and adapt. So this brought us to a focus on iterative customer value. So by moving with strangulation pattern, we could pick up and choose what to fix. We could focus on the things that would immediately drive value to our clients and work on the things that weren't as necessarily important right now, but were on our roadmap later, once we got the goodwill from our users and they wanted to continue to use our platform. So one of those examples was to do authentication via Cognito. Like I said, we needed to get off of our old auth solution. It was homemade. It was a cookie and a SQL Server based. So it really couldn't work with our new applications that were on an entirely different system that we're no longer using Cold Fusion. It also had really bad data sanitization, which led to bad data and duplicate accounts all over the place. So users trying to get in to fill in their onboarding documents would a lot of times end up in the wrong account or couldn't figure out which password they were supposed to use, to the point where we had to have 5 full-time employees dedicated to just helping those users find their accounts in our customer support group. So instead of trying to fix that and build us a new system that was just our own homegrown system again, we decided to pull something off the shelf. So we evaluated partners and eventually decided on Cognito, which is an identity access solution provided by AWS. So it's basically off the shelf. We configure our authorization, we tell it where to route traffic to, it handles everything for us. It provides a UI, it provides password management, it provides, we were able to pick up an email as a username, which we previously couldn't support. It also provides for validation. So it'll verify that emails and phone numbers are real and sign in users using multi-factor. And eventually we have the ability to also layer in single sign-on with Google and Facebook and Apple and whatever other solutions you want to do. And overall, what this meant, because we didn't have to build on that, we could spend our time focusing on something that would drive value to clients. So we didn't just build Cognito, we built a solution that as users would sign in, we would automatically merge their accounts together, figure out what was going on, put their accounts into one and build them a single profile with all of their applications, as well as a tool so that if that automatic process fell flat, we would have the ability to give our customer support team the ability to go in and actually fix those users in place. So that brought us to the main point of today, fast apply. This was our major application that we wanted to undertake and the biggest work we had to do. So clients had long been asking for a simpler application workflow. They wanted not to have a user account. They wanted users to be able to walk in and use a kiosk in a store, or be able to apply online from a mobile phone and not have to do account verification and dealing with passwords and all of that. So really they wanted basic contact information, first name, last name, phone, email, address, some configured questions, and then if necessary, some compliance documentation and assessments and those kinds of things. So we started our rewrite there, the simplest workflow we had. Again, from that strangulation, start small, get big. So that was the root of every single application, was right there. So we built a solution to play nice with our legacy applications. So that way, when users wanted to, use a more complex workflow like the compliance documentation, if we hadn't solved for it, we'd already had that SSO system we built with AWS. So we could just send users over that way, and they would immediately be signed into the legacy application and continue on their merry way. So, this really let us, again, focus on what was important and pick what we needed to work on. We also, as we did this, built a way for clients to opt themselves in one position at a time. A lot of times at Talent Reef, this had been a, one shot, you're done, we're going to release at 8 o'clock and everything's on that new application and there's no going back. Hope you like it. But with this one, we actually took that iterative approach. We put it out there. We put guides out there. We did training. We showed users the value here and allowed them to move one position over and literally do an A/B test, apples to apples, and say, is this providing value? And what we've seen is that, yeah, it provides a lot of value, and clients have really adopted it, which is exactly what we wanted to do. So this is what fast apply looks like. You can see it's a lot, fresher in its design. We have the ability to track your progress through it, so you can see just how much time is left. It's fully mobile friendly. I have it conveniently hidden in every one of these screenshots, but it's also fully translated into Spanish and French. So we have the ability to support everyone we need to do. And this is all built in modern React. So we have, longevity here that we can continue to build on this product for a long time as React continues to modernize. So this is where we are today, right now. We've got, a little more of a complicated picture. Sometimes you got to get a little messy before you can clean up. But you can see we've started to consolidate a lot of our users into a single user type, a TR apply user that's able to go through our existing applications and our existing services. So this is kind of our picture of what we've got right now. You can start to see that users can go to legacy, or they could go to to the new apply, depending on which one they're using, depending on which one they want to use. We've got these services. It's a much better picture. So overall, what we saw was clients were loving what they were seeing, but many wanted, one or two more things. So we used that practice feedback model that product had built for us and that we as a company had started to practice to really go out to our clients and say, what do you need next? What can we do for you? And in that, we heard, build more stuff. We need education. We need work history. So we built that. We call it standard apply. We added that on. We then heard, hey, it'd be really nice if we could match what was in our application with what's in our Indeed applications. So we built that. Then as the economy really started to open and we started to see more jobs come in, we heard, hey, we need resume upload because that's something we want. And we also need to make sure that we've got our vaccines figured out. So, we need to be able to upload a vaccine document and understand what's going on. So we made the push to add document upload to our system so we could actually bring all that in. Again, this is all driven by Quest. So now we get a picture of where we're going. This is what we want to arrive at by the time we're done with this project. And you can see here, now we've consolidated a lot. Every user is a TR apply user. All of our users are coming in through our UI that we've built. They're going through our application service that talks to our back end. And if they're an external API user, they're pulling the same workflow from the same place. They're pulling the questions from the same place, and they're submitting their users to the same place. And because we've built our queue and we've got one service consuming it, we'll have the ability to write to 2 different data stores at the same time. So we can start to build up our new data store in preparation to switch over to it. So that takes us to kind of our big test that we just went through and really how we know that this model is working for us and how we know it can work for others. So as 2021 progressed, we saw a huge demand from clients for more applicants. They just needed more people in the door. They could not get them in fast enough. With that, they were trying everything they could think of. One of the big ones that we were seeing was competitors offering a chatbot and chat-centered application solution. So clients wanted users to be able to apply via a chatbot and submit their applications through a conversation. So normally this kind of a project would take Talent Reef months to adapt to, have to build a new backend, build a chatbot solution, make sure it all works, validate it, sell it, push it. It'd be huge. But we used those models that we had practiced already. So we were agile and quick to pivot. We quickly saw this because we were hearing it from the clients in our feedback sessions that they needed this, they wanted it. So we really quickly moved our business to work on that solution. Then we focused on buy versus build. Instead of trying to build our own chatbot solution, we found a partner. So we went out and found a partner, worked with that partner, and made sure that they could work with our APIs, we could work with their APIs, and we could form a partnership and make that work. Then we looked at our API first mentality. So instead of trying to do this direct writes to SQL and event-based and all that stuff, we just had our apply UI and API. So we could just say, hey, go pull the questions from over here, ask the questions, submit the applicant to here, and you're done. Then we practice quick to market. Normally, again, this would have taken us potentially months to do. We did it in about 2 sprints. So just under a month, we were able to do our end of the development, and we'll be launching that soon into the market here. So, in my mind, this is a huge thing that we never would have been able to accomplish had we not focused on what was important in our business and practice that user feedback model in order to pull that information back constantly so we know what's going on. So that's really kind of the story of what we've done and kind of everything we wanted to talk about. Before we kind of move to questions, just a couple of things. As you can tell, Mehdi and I are up here talking. This is not at all Mehdi and I. This is the entire company. So really, we have to thank the entire Talent Reef team, just the engineering team, as well as our customer support groups, our ops groups, our implementations groups, our sales groups. Everyone really was willing to change everything we did and how we did it in order to get us to the right solution. We also want to thank our partners over at Crafted. You've probably seen them doing a couple of presentations today, but they really helped us get this product off the ground and really helped us to set up for success as we were moving forward. So that's kind of really everything we had to talk to today. Obviously, as you saw, we still have a lot of work to do and we still have a lot of things upcoming. So before we move to questions, if you're interested in coming to work with us and helping us get there, we have a lot of open positions across the entire company, tech support, into engineering, product, all that. So feel free to scan that QR code right there and that'll take you to our career site where you can see what we've got open. So with that, any questions that I can answer for people or that Dee can answer because he likes to talk too. Anything you wanted to add, Mehdi, while we wait for questions?
Not at all. It was quite a journey.
Mehdi unmuted himself.
Sorry, forget that I didn't need to unmute.
Yep. Oh, here's one. Would we go through the same process for internal tools? I'm assuming you're kind of meaning like the design and iteration. And the answer is really yes. Like we not only go to our clients for information on how they're using our product and what they're doing, but we also leverage internal stakeholders too. So when we're talking those user interviews that the product team is doing and pulling that data back, we're actually meeting with the executives at our team, the day-to-day customer support people, members throughout the team to say, tell us what you're hearing from users that you need, and also tell us from a support perspective what you need to do. So one of the things we kind of talked about was that merge tool. So we knew that, if we put this out there and anything went wrong with our automated account merging solution, our customer support people were going to get beat up because people wouldn't be able to get into our accounts. So we worked with them in order to make sure we had the tooling in place that they could answer all the questions they needed. And, as all software releases, it wasn't the smoothest thing, but we got there. And now we have a solution that's working for them.
Other question?
All right, and then let's see. So we touched on this, but what would have been the biggest lesson learned over the past several years, seeing the customer and company journey? What has been your biggest accomplishment reward? So I think really for me, I'll let Mehdi answer too, but I think the biggest lesson learned was slow down. Like we'd always tried to go way too fast. We're always trying to, cut corners and make this work and make it work as fast as possible without really taking the time to engineer it correctly. And I think we've really learned that that has a major cost to us. So when we actually focus on what makes us successful as a company and what makes our business work, it really shows, and we're able to focus on that. And I think the biggest accomplishment and reward is just seeing this thing get delivered. I mean, like I've been with this company for 6 years, seeing the amount of change, not just in our code, but in our entire SDLC and how we actually go about delivering software is massive. It's a complete 180 from where we were. So it's huge to see.
Yeah, for me, it would be like rebuilding software the right way. The way, like you mentioned, Skyler, how engineers want to support it, the way our customers always ask for it, very flexible, easy to use, intuitive, and having the satisfaction to see our customers also as happy as we are using the software, adopting it, and also opening the gates with our customers and start hearing from them direct feedback and getting, especially like not all the feedback is positive, but to also see that our customers are enjoying and are using and the software we built is solving the problems they have. It's a huge satisfaction.
And yeah, Megan, the hope here is that, obviously this is very specific to Talent Reef, but we're hoping that people can take what we've gone through and some of the challenges and lessons we've learned, and that can help not only new founders that are trying to set themselves up, hint, hint, don't use Cold Fusion and SQL Server as your data stack. That's just a bad idea. But also working with, how you go about designing and pulling feedback from your customers and always remaining agile and willing to pivot when needed to what we need to do. So any other questions or anything people have?
I'm glad you're enjoying this session, Megan. If you want to follow up, if you have other questions later, feel free to reach out to Skyler and I.
Yep, and like I said, if you're interested, we've got a pretty awesome company to work for, and we're definitely trying to grow. We're right down here on 16th Street, right downtown, and going a full hybrid working model from home. So feel free to scan that QR code and let us know if you're interested in coming to work for us, or with us, I should say. Cool. With that, I haven't seen any other questions coming, so I think we're probably good.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Still recording?
Yeah. We good, or do we need to do anything else? Thank you for your help.
Good job.
Good job, guys.